Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters through the Silver and the Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
And I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We return to the pages of All-Star Comics this week. We are going to tackle issues 60 and 61, featuring, of course, not only the JSA, but the Super Squad.
Hey! Who could forget the Super Squad?
Can't forget the Super Squad. So, we'll just get on with it, really. No need for preamble. Peter will now tell us about the exciting cover to issue 60.
It is an exciting cover. Snazzy and jazzy, I would say. At the top, we have the cigar band, as is the case for all the DC Comics of this era. Running in, we have Dr. Fate, The Flash, and flying in, we have Power Girl right beside a small All-Star Comics logo. The line of DC superstars. Blazing battle action as the Super Squad faces Vulcan, Son of Fire. 30 cents, number 60, June, and this issue's number is 30417. Did you have that in your bingo card?
Well, I was funny because as you were saying that, I was looking at the cover of issue 61, and issue 61 also has 30417 written on it.
Snap.
So maybe these numbers are allocated to the title.
Listeners, if anyone knows what these numbers actually signify, please let us know.
Yes.
Then we have the logo, the Justice Society of America in All-Star Comics with the Super Squad. And that takes up like the first third of the cover.
That's insane.
Which is such a shame.
Yeah.
Because the image in the cover is sensational. Because it's an Ernie Chan cover. There is a bronze armoured figure. He's causing mayhem. He looks a bit like a New God design. Do you not think?
I get that. I would not dispute that assertion.
Yep, it's kind of bronzy armour. Actually, he looks also a little bit like the Tyler Hourman android as well. He's got that sort of look to his head, I would say, on the cover at least.
Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, he's got these weird sort of like ears or whatever they are on the side of his head, but
yeah, it's like Thor's helmet wings. Yeah.
I can see what you mean. Definitely the way the sort of panel comes up over his forehead with that line through it, that's very Tyler, yes.
Anyway, he's angrily throwing a flaming axe at Wildcat and, gasp, it's ripped the chest section of Wildcat's uniform. My goodness.
We'll have to watch for that when it happens, listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, fortunately, three heroes are rushing in to Wildcat's aid, and they are the Star-Spangled Kid flying in with his newly acquired cosmic rod, the Flash, and Power Girl, the sensational find of the Bronze Age. Yes.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to say there.
Very dynamic. I'm reading my copy of issue 60, which is the first issue of All-Star Comics I ever bought.
Ah, okay.
I'm holding at my sweaty paws right now. I've got it in Obelisk, which was a sort of generally a sort of second-hand bookshop, sci-fi sort of horror, in the much-missed Virginia galleries in Glasgow. It was sort of next door to ACCA, and once ACCA moved out of the Virginia galleries when they opened their shop in Parney Street, I think they opened the shop in Parney Street in 1990, but they were gone before too long from the galleries. And when ACCA and Obelisk were in the gallery at the same time, there was a sort of gentleman's agreement that Dougie and Russell and Fred and Obelisk, I keep saying Obelisk and Obelisk, wouldn't sell old comics or anything because that was just ACCA's thing. Once ACCA moved out and all that, and Pete had gone off, I think, to do City Centre Comics, the long boxes went out in a couple of tables in the sort of side room. I got a few issues, quite a lot of stuff in there over the years, actually. I remember nipping in there, knowing that they were selling a run of the Bill Payton Starman. That's where I got the issues that featured Ted and the Nimbus, as it were. We'll refer you to Ross's Opal City Confidential for his coverage of those.
Excellent.
And quite a few other bits and bobs. Going into Obelisk became sort of like part of the routine of just going around the comic shops when you're in Glasgow. Yeah. Just jump in there on the off chance. I got my first issue of Rip Hunter in there as well, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's where I got the one Patrick Troughton second Doctor Who annual that I've got it in there.
Crikey. Excellent.
When did the gallery shut? Can you remember?
It was early 90s. It was the whole thing with
Marks and Spencer's sort of expanding.
And the foundations were then damaged and they had to clear everything out, allegedly.
Yeah. I've got a feeling I think it was maybe mid-90s, because I think I bought the Doctor Who annual when I was working at the bank. I remember that much. So that must have been, couldn't have been any earlier than 95. What did I say at the top, listeners? There'd be no preamble, and then here we are, we're getting some Glasgow comic shop nostalgia.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Listeners, did you ever buy anything from Fred and Russell and Dougie Dow and Obelisk, or Obelisk, however you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when you're in the door, immediately on the right-hand side, there was a little bookcase with the second-hand Doctor Who paperbacks?
Yes, remember it very, very, very well, yes. Actually, when AKA were there, I think Obelisk still did sell some, like, UK comics.
Right.
I remember they had some British Marvels there. I remember getting one that had 3 stickers on it.
Right.
And I peeled them off instantly and put them on my folder that I used to catalogue my comics with. So it's a Doctor Strange and I think it was a Hulk and a Spidey, I think I remember really. The Doctor Strange one was particularly good. I think it was the Frank Pruner kind of like classic.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I bet you're glad you did that now.
Oh yes, immensely. Uh-huh. I've still got the folder kicking about somewhere.
All right, cool.
Somewhere.
Well, if you find it, let me know.
I will do.
Listeners, do you have memories of shopping in the Virginia galleries in Glasgow in the 80s and 90s? Because it was a great place to just hang out in the afternoon, and it always smelt really interesting.
Yes. Well, you had the movie poster shop. You had,
Movie Magic.
T-shirt place.
That chap, because he moved up to the Savoy Centre eventually. Because I remember going in there kind of and trading in stuff and buying stuff from him like, as the 90s wore on.
There was a cafe downstairs that did an excellent carrot cake. Yes.
I got my ear pierced for the first time in the Virginia galleries.
Gasp. Intentionally, or did someone just trip or something?
No, it was intentional. Leaving a pause for the joke to land there, listeners. It was just a fun place to go. Like, and as I say, lots of interesting smells, but it never felt sort of intimidating or...
No.
It was a fun place to go, and I think Glasgow was all the poorer for it going.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. Anyway, we should probably get back to All-Star number 60. So yes, that's where I hold it up for the benefit of our YouTube viewers. This is where I got my copy of All-Star 60. So we kick off.
Very nice.
We're doing 2 issues this week, listeners, so as is going to be quite a lot of the case going forward, it's partial reading, partial summary. Issue 60, published on the 17th of February, 1976, very close to George Harrison's 33rd... Oh, that's probably when he released the 33rd album then, isn't it? Anyway, we begin, as you would probably expect, with some captioning.
Can the All-Star Super Squad escape defeat at the hands of Vulcan, son of fire?
Great dynamic panel to kick us off, but before we get into the action, we'd better have the credits.
Jerry Conway, writer-editor. Keith Giffen, spelt incorrectly. And Wally Wood, artist extraordinaire. Yes, it's Giffin, they've spelled it in here.
Yeah.
But obviously, we know it should be En. That's a bit of a shame, really.
It is.
Rising star.
A very dynamic opening splash panel, brilliantly sort of textured background detail showing like spinning tape spools and computer screens and equipment lining this corridor that Power Girl and the Flash are speeding down. Power Girl is saying, "Come on, Flash, you can do better than that. You're the fastest man alive, remember? Or is that just a sexist myth?"
This little race was your idea, Power Girl. Don't come crying to me if it explodes in your face.
Words I can get from Wildcat, Speedster. From you, I want action.
If it's action you want, then, sister, it's action you'll get.
And Jade doubles down. We move into page 2 and the perspective shifts, so we are basically running behind Jay almost ourselves as he tries to catch up with Power Girl. Brilliant layouts are going to be the order of the day for the next few issues. Some really, really good stuff. I'm doing my best to find as many scans of original art as possible just to help show them off. So, Jay races after Power Girl. Power Girl looks back at him and she's a little internal monologue for a few panels. Fantastic! All those weeks since we beat Brainwave. We get a quick asterisk and a caption that reads,
Shown in all its pomp and glory last issue. Jer.
Flash and the other Justice Society regulars have been treating me like a kid. But now, finally, he's begun to accept me as his peer. We see that Jay is catching up to Power Girl and is overtaking as her thoughts continue. This race was the smartest idea I ever had. And even if I lose, it'll be worth it. I've gotten sick and tired of being considered a child, especially by men. When I think how my cousin used to pamper me, keeping my existence on Earth a secret, and we get another asterisk and a caption that reads,
Power Girl is the Supergirl of Earth 2. Jer.
Yep. Power Girl, bearing this in mind what she just thought, she continues, I could scream! Fortunately, it's a lot easier on the nerves just to run. And we see that she is now doubling down to try and catch up to the Flash. And in the first panel of page 3, they arrive in the sort of living room space area, and the Flash just beats Power Girl by a foot, pretty much. And he laughs and says,
Ha! Beat you by the proverbial mile, Power Girl. I could have won by more, but I'm not a cruel man after all.
Do me a favour, Flash. Don't do me any more favours. See, there's a big television screen on the wall, listeners. And sat in front of it watching a boxing match is obviously the Wildcat of Earth 2. We must make that distinction.
Yes, we must.
Yes. Who says, "Hey, keep it down, you two. Can you see I'm trying to watch the TV? Sheesh. It's getting so a guy can't glom a fight in peace." And then we see, in the corner of the room, floating in a chair that seems to be made out of cosmic rod energy, it's the Star-Spangled Kid, reading a book, and he chips into this conversation.
Can you believe this guy? 5 minutes ago he wanted to tear the tube apart just because some boxer beat another boxer to a pulp. You ask me, Wildcat's a repressed homicidal maniac.
A what? Kid, you can't be serious, says Power Girl. Sylvester's chair sort of resolves itself into an aura and he stands on the floor saying,
I know what you're thinking. The Star-Spangled Kid is playing smart mouth again. Well, maybe so. But I've been reading some psychology, and that man there is nuts.
And as if to prove Sylvester's point, we see that Wildcat stood up in front of the screen, which has lost the image of the boxing match, and there's a big wavy line on it. Ted Cat says, "Stupid television. Why do you always break when I'm watching the fights?" And with a crash, he punches the screen, shattering it, and we see the silhouetted forms of the Flash and Power Girl reacting. We then get a close-up of all their horrified faces in the first panel of page 4, as Sylvester says,
See?
Wildcat looks a little sheepish and says, hey, guess I kinda lost my temper.
Like I said, Wildcat's just plain...
But the Star-Spangled Kid is caught off with the Flash, who interrupts and says,
bored. That's all that's wrong with him, kid. And all that's wrong with you. We're all bored. Crashingly bored.
At that, the Flash crosses to the window, looks outside at the rain lashing down, saying,
What else can a man be in a dull, rainy Sunday? On a day like this, a man should be home with his wife. Instead, I'm stuck here on weekend duty simply because somebody has to mind the store at our headquarters. And this time, it happened to be me.
Power Girl speaks next, saying, Listen, Flash, you're not alone. We're all itching for something to come down.
I know, Power Girl, but we might as well face facts. Today is going to be dull, and that's with a capital D.
And our perspective shifts so that we're outside the building now, outside JSA headquarters. We see the silhouetted form of someone holding a very large-looking axe, and then we get a close-up of this person. It's the chap we saw on the cover. We see he's sort of wearing an armour that's various shades of bronze and red and orange and gold. He has gleaming bright yellow eyes, and he seems to be surrounded in an aura of fire. And he looks at the JSA members through the window of their building, and he says to himself,
Fools! They speak of boredom and say they crave battle, but the battle they seek is a civilized struggle, a combat of rules and regulations. Such men are cowards at heart, and thus beneath contempt.
He raises his axe, which seems to generate a circle of fire in the air above him, and then he hurls it forward, saying,
But they are not beneath destruction.
We then cut back inside the JSA headquarters with a smash. The axe flies through the window, embedding itself in the wall opposite with a
thunk.
Holy mama! Exclaims Wildcat, because the axe has landed the wall right next to his head. Goodness me. The next panel, this armoured figure, who's now burning like a weird Johnny Storm, has stepped in through the broken glass into the room in front of all the JSAers. We see the silhouetted forms as the Flash says,
I know this is going to sound cliched, but who on earth is that?
And he gets an answer as the burning figure says,
My name is Vulcan, Speedster, and I was born a son of fire.
Star-Spangled Kid gestures with a cosmic rod. It glows as he says,
Good for you, fella. That tells us zilch.
Vulcan replies,
It is not my intention to tell you anything, whelp.
We see that he's glowing brighter, burning bright yellow, as Power Girl says. His body, something's happening to it. Flash says quickly,
He's going through a metamorphosis, changing into metal.
It is simply my intention to see you die.
And he swings a fist which sends the Flash flying, knocking off his helmet. And there's a quick dissolve.
We're going to switch scenes, turning to another member of our far-flung cast, the Emerald Gladiator of Earth 2, Alan Scott, the Green Lantern.
Yeah, we see GL flying through the rainy sky and facing through a wall into his office. We'll point out, for anyone who's interested, that Alan is wearing his ring on his left hand.
Keith Giffen gets it right. Yay!
Of course he does. It's an interesting office. There's a big plant growing in the corner. There's a coffee machine, books on shelves, paintings, what have you. The big guy's thinking to himself, ah well, some days you luck out and some days you don't. I had hoped to pick up the trail of my old enemy, the Harlequin, but I guess it just wasn't in my stars. See him crossing to a closet, I suppose they would say, across the pond. And Alan's thoughts continue. So, exit Green Lantern, would-be crook catcher, enter Alan Scott, much in debt, president of the Gotham Broadcasting Company. You see the glow surrounding GL, and it's almost like his clothes sort of swap with some clothes hanging on the rack. He's now wearing a black suit as his thoughts continue. Ah, Doiby Dickles, where are you when I need you for a little cheering up? See him adjusting his tie in the next panel as some captioning reads.
Alan Scott is not normally a brooding man, but recently his life seems to have taken a complicating turn. Stocks which should have risen, fell. Investments which should have grown, collapsed. And a corporate presidency which once seemed secure is now far from secure, is in fact in deep, deep trouble.
Yes, we see Alan sat in a chair, looking out the window, looking very thoughtful, stroking his chin. Door opens behind him and his secretary walks in. Very striking dark-haired lady who walks forward, puts a hand on his shoulder, saying,
Mr. Scott? Alan?
What? Oh, Eileen, it's you. I was daydreaming.
I know. I've been watching you, Alan. You've taken this recession very hard. Harder than most of us.
That's my job, Eileen. I'm paid to take a recession hard. That's why I'm a company president. You're paid to help me live through it. That's why you're my secretary.
Oh, Mr. Scott, you say the most romantic things.
Miss O'Neill, if you ever become an actress, don't play the innocent ingenue. You're not very believable.
I bet you say that to all your women, Alan dear,
says Eileen as she's moving away. Then she turns back, saying,
Oh, by the by, the reason I came in. There's a man who's been waiting to see you. His name's Kent Nelson.
And we see another tall, blonde man standing in the doorway behind Eileen wearing a green suit. He walks in. GL greets him saying, Kent! Oh, buddy! Why...
Forgive me, Alan, but I've not come to you as Kent Nelson, but rather as...
And there's a flash of pink energy. Dr. Fate's surrounded by a giant ankh, and a transformation takes place as he concludes,
Dr. Fate.
Fantastic. And it's nice to see the ankh symbol there, because it obviously follows on from the Doc's appearance in first issue special, so maybe the little jaggedy wizard lines have gone, and this is it going forward.
Yay!
It's interesting to see it being used in the main continuity. So the transformation complete, Alan Scott, aka Green Lantern, says, something's up, eh?
Something is indeed up, my friend.
There's an inset panel on the next page as they both take to the sky, flying off, and Dr. Fate says,
Come, I'll explain on the way.
Back at JSA HQ, we get a few pages of the Flash, Power Girl, Star Spangled Kid and Wildcat battling Vulcan, the fight culminating in Vulcan blinding the heroes in a sudden burst of nova brilliance. There's some fun with the cosmic rod, including the Star Spangled Kid trapping Vulcan in a cosmic marshmallow, but it's not enough. Vulcan steps forward now with a
wonk
and a
wham.
He knocks out Wildcat and the Flash, saying,
It is done. My victory is complete. It's time to turn my talents to something more satisfying than the defeats of the JSA.
Vulcan then retrieves his axe and leaves, but not before setting the JSA HQ on fire with a whoosh. The scene then shifts to Washington, where Green Lantern and Dr. Fate are talking to a colonel who tells them of the disappearance of one Commander Christopher Pike. Yes, we know, we'll talk about that at the discussion point.
Yes.
Pike was an astronaut who had grown up admiring and inspired by the Justice Society. He had progressed well in his career and had been selected for Vulcan Probe 1, a mission to make a 200-day close orbit of the Sun. So, top of page 14 now, as the Colonel continues explaining to Green Lantern and Dr. Fate what's been going on.
We may never know what went wrong up there. Perhaps it was the strain, perhaps something physical, or perhaps Pike just wasn't the hero he always wanted to be. 104 days out from Earth, Christopher Pike went insane. Both his companions were killed instantly.
And we see Christopher Pike punching both of the other astronauts so that they smash their heads against the walls of the capsule, obviously violently. The Colonel resumes.
And Vulcan Probe 1 plunged out of control toward the surface of the Sun. We were in constant radio contact, but much of what Pike said made no sense. The command module ignited as it neared Sol's ionosphere.
Yeah, and we see the sort of shape of the capsule sort of looks like it's almost melting as it flies closer to the sun.
And in a matter of seconds, it collapsed, forming a molten shell around Pike's living body.
There's an inset panel of Christopher Pike screaming,
somehow protecting it from much of the heat, though not from the maddening radiation. By some miracle, the module skipped across the sun's surface like a stone across water, and returned to Earth orbit exactly on schedule, 3 months later.
Yes, and you can take a drink, listeners, because in one little inset panel here, there is a shot of the moon.
Hooray!
We see the capsule approaching Earth, and then we see it crashing into the sea as the Colonel's narration continues.
I said miracle, but a miracle implies an intervention by God. And from all I understand, God just couldn't be so cruel. We thought the Vulcan probe destroyed, and when we recovered what remained of the command module, we were certain it had been.
And there's a shot of the sort of military attempt to recover the capsule from the water. Helicopters and large aircraft carriers and such like.
But an examination by a scientist showed that something was alive within that molten shell. And 2 days after arriving on Earth, that something broke out.
And we see a couple of scientists wearing very astronaut-like outfits, sort of recoiling as the molten shell explodes outwards as a figure reveals himself inside.
It was Pike, horribly changed but still vaguely recognizable. His body radiated tremendous heat, and because of this, he was given a special protective suit.
We see the dark form of what was Christopher Pike being encased in this new armour.
For 3 weeks, he remained in a coma-like state, and then, 23 days after his return, he awoke and set himself free.
And we see Christopher Pike's eyes burning brightly, flames licking over his body, as with a
Crash!
We see him flying up through the roof of the building he was being studied in, and away. Gosh. We return to the Colonel, Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, as the Colonel concludes.
Gentlemen, what we have is a non-defined situation. In less technical terms, a disaster. Pike's got power, and in his state of mind, he could be anywhere, doing anything.
Green Lantern and Dr. Fate exchange a look, and we see Dr. Fate gesturing with his hand, creating a little circle of energy around them, and an Ankh appearing, as Green Lantern says, "Colonel, I think we've heard enough."
Don't kid yourself, mister. We're still working out a problematical profile on our computer system. When that comes through, we'll have to... What on earth? They're gone!
Yep, Green Lantern and Dr. Fate have heard enough, so they take their leave, little burst of Ankh-held magic, as we say, and they reappear in Gotham City. Dr. Fate explains that the same psychic sense which led him to take Green Lantern to Washington has led them to where Vulcan now threatens Gotham. The heroes see Vulcan absorbing energy from neon signs and worry that if he keeps absorbing power, he'll explode and take Gotham City with him. They fly down to confront Vulcan, who yells,
"Dr. Fate! Green Lantern! 2 more hated heroes ready to die as your friends before you. Prepare for battle, dear enemies. A battle to destruction. A battle of vengeance. To the death."
Gosh, and Vulcan stands aflame on the roof of a building, holding his axe as Green Lantern and Dr. Fate fly down towards him, and a closing caption reads,
Next, the shattering conclusion of this, one of the greatest all-star epics ever. Don't miss with Flame and Fury.
And that, of course, brings us to issue 61 of All-Star Comics, published on the 15th of April 1976. Peter will tell us about the cover.
At the top, we're here.
DC Comics salutes the bicentennial.
Yes.
Yay! The cigar band's there. It's Dr. Fate, Flash, and Power Girl again. All-Star Comics logo.
The line of DC superstars.
Slightly smaller than it was before, because they have to cram in that DC Comics salutes the bicentennial bit above it. So,
Listeners, there was a point in my DC Comics collecting career towards the end of the 90s when I basically collected all the comics that had the DC Comics Salutes the Bicentennial flash along the top of them.
wow.
I remember getting a huge chunk of them from Darryl Jones at Silver Acre. I remember buying the Tarzan issue that had it when I was in Paris in August 1998.
Of course you do. Amazing.
Of course I remember. There's a house ad that runs through most of the comics at this point, which tells you what these flashes all represent and what you can do if you collect them all. So we'll probably post that on the socials at some point, if not this week, very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest and the best.
30 cents, number 61, August, and the number is the same as the previous issue, 30417.
The Justice Society of America in All-Star Comics with the Super Squad.
And we have got another dazzling cover by Ernie Chan. We're up in the sky looking down at a cityscape. There's a roof that Vulcan, son of fire, is on. He's fighting the JSA. My goodness, he's using his axe to project flame at Dr. Fate. Oh, it's hitting him in the back. Oh, that's nasty. Ouch. He's falling down. Alan Scott Green Lantern is flying in and using the power ring in his right hand.
No! Ernie, you've let me down.
He's put a circle around Vulcan, Son of Fire. I don't really know what he's trying to do there.
I think he's referencing the Alien Spiral Carpet single, Keep the Circle Around.
May well be. My goodness. And flying in on a strange, looks like a fat convertible mini car, I would say.
It's like a Dodgems car or something.
It is, it's weird.
Or a roller coaster.
Carts, yeah. And it's flying through the sky, it's bright yellow, being piloted, of course, by the blind member of the team, Dr. Midnight, with Wildcats being the passenger in it. And Wildcats shouting,
"Too late, Green Lantern! You caught Vulcan, but he killed Dr. Fate!"
And the caption at the bottom says,
"Have we got surprises for you in a tale titled Hellfire and Holocaust?"
Oh my goodness. Very dynamic cover, even though it's, as Pete says, Alan's got the ring in the wrong hand and the blind man's driving the car. How symbolic of where things might go, but not really. We begin then. We have the credits along the top of the first opening page.
Jerry Conway, editor-writer, Keith Giffen, spelled correctly, and Wally Wood, illustrators. Carl Gafford gets a mention here as colourist, and they all present the All-Star Super Squad.
The main image echoes where we left last issue, with Vulcan standing on the roof of a building, using his axe to fire flames up at Green Lantern and Dr. Fate. There are a whole bunch of captions.
It comes from the man-monster self named Vulcan, formerly a NASA astronaut known as Christopher Pike, whose body has undergone a hideous transformation during an orbit of the Sun, and whose mind has been twisted as well. Once Christopher Pike worshipped the Justice Society of America, but now he craves its destruction. A wish on the verge of fulfillment this evening as Vulcan begins battle against two of the JSA's most powerful members, Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, in a story which could only be titled Hellfire and Holocaust.
Green Lantern battles Vulcan for the first couple of pages before Dr. Fate gets a shot. Anks fly as Fate tries to reason with the being that was Christopher Pike. Green Lantern starts evacuating civilians from the area as the battle between Dr. Fate and Vulcan continues. Vulcan gets a tracking close-up as he says,
"I can feel it, Fate. The energy coursing through me. The mind-warping glory of the basic cosmic force. Light, heat, destruction. Oh, this is mine, for mine is the power pure of the sun itself. Make peace with your gods, Dr. Fate. The hour of judgment is now."
And as he's been saying all this, Vulcan has burned brighter and glowed, a brighter, warmer red. Dr. Fate gets a close-up and all he can do is whisper,
"No."
As the building they're stood on explodes with an enormous
Jaboo!
Green Lantern can only look on in horror as Vulcan flies off with a
whoosh.
As Green Lantern starts to search through the wreckage for Dr. Fate, the captioning returns to Vulcan.
While heading across the river which separates Gotham City from New Jersey, the man called Vulcan passes high over the Penn Central freight yards, and for the first time since leaving NASA quarantine, encounters a sky that isn't overcast, with startling results.
And we basically see Vulcan flying along like the Human Torch, even coloured and shaded like the Human Torch. But then there's a break in the clouds, and he is struck by sunlight, which makes him sort of glow a different sort of shade and just sort of pull himself up almost to a stop. Captioning resumes.
What's happened to Vulcan? And what about Dr. Fate? Those are both good questions, reader, but for the moment we'll leave them unanswered so that we can take a brief interlude with another cast member in Gateway City. Carter Hall, archaeologist, known to us as Hawkman.
We see Carter Hall, who, like Alan Scott and Kent Nelson, is a very tall, blonde man. Do you remember that? I think it was in either an issue of Marvel Age or one of the swimsuit specials when it had like some of the Avengers in the row, and it was Hawkeye, Hank Pym, Steve Rogers, I think Jim Hammond.
Okay.
There was someone else, can't remember who it was. Basically, it was the same John Byrne drawing of each of them.
Wow, amazing. Yes.
I'll try and find it and show you. the sort of makeup of the various members of the JSA. I mean, we'll have to see what happens when Dr. Midnight isn't wearing his uniform. Seeing them all lined up almost has just put me in mind of that. Anyway, we see Hawkman, and he's wearing a hideous black and green check jacket over a yellow polo neck, and he's wearing green trousers. This is shocking. And he's talking to a sort of sandy-haired fellow, shorter, thicker set, wearing a smart black suit and a red and black striped tie, and he has glasses. And they're walking through a room that's filled with crates, some of which are open, and we can see sort of what looks like Greco-Roman statues, and their paintings have been pinned to the walls, a few others obviously laying around. And this little chap has his hand on Hawkman's shoulder, and he's saying, "Carter, I'm your friend. And as your friend, I'm telling you, this time you've gone too far. Mucking about the ruins of Egypt, exploring ancient Inca pyramids, digging up dinosaur bones in Arizona, all of that makes sense for an archaeologist. But this..."
Yes, Dr. Clyburn, but this...
"It's unnatural, Carter. Searching for the lost continent of Lemuria is one thing, but finding a Lemurian survivor? My boy, you're treading on dangerous ground."
Doctor, you've known me for years, so you must know that I'm thoroughly committed to exploring the unknown. This is just the latest step in a lifelong obsession. Maybe the most important step.
Or the most fatal. And we see that they're now standing in front of a sort of amber-coloured glass case. A very unusual-looking figure inside, wearing sort of loose purple robes. And he's very pale yellow skin. It looks like his face is pulled very tight. We can see his teeth sort of poking out. Loose purple robes, but the sort of golden black bands around the sleeves and around the sort of trousers. And as Peter said about Vulcan looking very New Gods, this looks very sort of New Gods as well. A bit more Eternals in some way, actually.
Yeah, it looks a bit like Galactus from like the bottom half, really, doesn't
Yeah.
it? The way it's put together, and maybe a bit more kind of mole-manish with the collar and stuff at the top. Very Marvel-y.
Yeah, which is obviously the Conway influence, I think. Very sort of large surrounding collar and weird sort of dangling gold clasps and chains, it looks like. And as Pete said, there's a very Galactus-looking sort of like belt section.
It's Studio 54 Galactus.
You will see him on the socials, listeners, so you can have a proper look at him. Dr. Clyburn continues, "Look at him, Carter. Sealed in that block of amber like some giant fly. Can't you sense the hideous evil?"
You see evil, Dr. Clyburn, and I see knowledge. According to legend, Lemuria sank into the sea like Atlantis over 1 million years ago, at a time when the planet Earth was fundamentally different from the way it is today. Studying this creature, I may learn something about mankind.
We get a close-up of the face of the chap, almost like he's listening to them. As Carter continues.
And as the philosopher said, Doctor, the proper study of man is man.
"Very well, Carter. I just pray you know what you're doing." Dr. Clyburn fiddles with his tie, nervously. We get a close-up of one of the figure in the amber's hands, which seems to be glowing and bubbling. Gosh. Interlude 2 is very short. Consists of Vulcan crashing to Earth. He muses on his power being drained by an external force, but is encouraged as he feels his power start to return. We then switch back to Justice Society HQ, which is still on fire from everything that Vulcan did in the last issue. The fire service are on the scene. The Flash, Power Girl, Star Spangled Kid and Wildcat observe, and we get a bit of bickering between Wildcat and the Star Spangled Kid over Sylvester not being allowed to use the cosmic rod to deal with the fire, instead of leaving it to the professionals, as you always should, listeners. Joan Garrick arrives on the scene, expressing her concern for her husband, Jay, the Flash, of course, and her wish that he come home, as he's not a young man anymore, and it's not his job. And that, of course, ties into what Jay was saying in the last issue about how a man should be home with his wife on a day like this. I wonder if they're trying to retire Jay. We'll have to see. After conferring with Wildcat, Jay and Joan leave. With the Flash gone, Wildcat worries about them being outnumbered against Vulcan, but thankfully Hawkman and Dr. Midnight arrive on the scene. We're then treated to a view of the burning building through Dr. Midnight's infrared glasses. As the heroes converse, Green Lantern suddenly appears in a little floating multiple head situation that really reminded me of the Living Tribunal.
Oh, yes. The three faces.
Or the Axons in the Doctor Who story Claws of Axos.
Yes.
GL is communicating using the Star Spangled Kid's cosmic rod. He appeals for help as Dr. Fate is injured. GL gives his location as Times Square, and Wildcat notices that Power Girl has already gone.
Where is the mighty Maid of Steel? To answer that, we need super hearing equivalent to her own, so we could overhear the police bulletin she overheard only moments before the Lantern's message. Unidentified flying object landing north of Gotham City.
In the Ridgefield Park slum clearance project, all police cars in the area surround the UFO and contain...
And this is great because we see over a sequence of 3 panels, Power Girl not flying across the city, but taking large leaps, if you like. Interesting to note as her powers develop. And she arrives and we see this massive, not quite gold flying saucer, but this large gold flying machine. It kind of looks like the top of a broken USB cord.
Yes, I can see that.
You'd maybe plug it into your phone. But anyway, we can see that it's there. There's crowds of people standing around watching it. It's obviously flattened a couple of buildings. It's come down and descends towards the area. It's thinking, my hunch was right. This is too big for the police alone. The others will just have to handle Vulcan without me. And then she thinks, wait, there's something moving outside that spaceship. And it looks alive. And we see, outside the spaceship, a very squat-looking green alien, green skin, wide sort of face. Not human-looking at all. It looks again like something Jack Kirby or even John Byrne might have drawn for the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
It's a very squat figure, wearing armour, detailed with little cylinders and what looks like a little screen in the front. He has doesn't have hands, but he seems to have like claws. It's almost like a figure sort of wearing an exoskeleton or something. It just screams FF alien character to me.
It kind of reminds me a bit of a squished version of one of the Toad Men who fought the Hulk in his early issues. Remember them?
Okay.
And also appeared in She-Hulk during the Byrne run. I think he quite enjoyed the Toad Men. I've heard that rumour.
There's one, I don't know if it's a cover of one of the British Secret Wars comics or another, but there's a cover that I'm picturing in my head, so if I can find which one it is, listeners, I'll see if I can squeeze it into the socials this week. Maybe not. But Power Girl has sighted this little figure, and she's saying, Great Krypton, it is alive! Some sort of alien being! And judging by the way it ravaged those buildings, it's mean and mad. And she drops towards it as captions read.
Oddly enough, Power Girl is herself an alien. Like her cousin Superman, she's native of the planet Krypton, a world now dead and gone. However, at the moment, she's forgotten this fact. A mistake which may well prove tragic.
Yes, because as she plummets towards the little alien, he's gestured with his left claw, and a purple barrier has appeared in the air in front of him. Power Girl bounces off it, exclaiming, Ugh! Force field! We then turn the page.
Meanwhile, in the centralmost section of Gotham City, Wildcat and Dr. Midnight arrive at the scene of battle, where they find a pale Green Lantern struggling to free his friend.
And there's an editor's note from Jerry Conway saying, and if anyone's been wondering how the Super Squad gets around these days, take a look at their brand new Sky Skimmer.
Yes, it looks very different to the roller coaster car that Peter described in the cover. It kind of looks basically like I don't know.
Like a yellow Quinjet, almost.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. It's a very lazy Quinjet copy.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
But not to minimise the drama by laughing at this device, listeners.
No.
But Green Lantern is struggling to find Dr. Fate in the wreckage owing to the large quantities of wood in the rubble. Fortunately, Dr. Midnight's infrared goggles get another turn, and Chuck is able to locate Dr. Fate through his body heat. Green Lantern is then able to unearth him, and it doesn't look good. Dr. Fate is seen lying still and unmoving. Wildcat punches a steel beam in frustration that they're too late. We see Dr. Midnight carrying Dr. Fate's body from the scene as he says quietly, Let's get him to a hospital. Back at Ridgefield, Power Girl continues to battle with the little green guy, and she gradually realises that he's trying to communicate with her by sending her mental images. And suddenly, Power Girl understands. We cut to the Star Spangled Kid and Hawkman, who have tracked Vulcan down via the cosmic rod which responded to Syl's mental command. Vulcan emerges from the shattered freight car he was hiding in with a causing a massive sort of explosion of energy. Star Spangled Kid freezes him in a block of ice with the rod, but Vulcan quickly melts his way free and effortlessly melts the spiked bola that Hawkman throws at him. Star Spangled Kid then manages to snare Vulcan by manipulating the rail tracks with the cosmic rod, and Hawkman attempts to put out Vulcan's flame by creating a downdraft with his wings, when a caption reads,
Just then, a few feet distant,
Power Girl arrives, and that looks like the moon in the background, so everyone take a quick drink.
Hey.
She cries to Sylvester, Hey kid, how goes the fight?
Power Girl, boy have you got nerve showing up after... Huh?
And he breaks off because our little squat green alien friend is also descending.
Who? What?
Kid, this is Zilchin, an alien who's been exploring our solar system. When Christopher Pike's space capsule crashed into the sun, It was Zildjian who rescued Pike, transforming him into a creature capable of absorbing the sun's heat. See that Zildjian has dropped onto the rail track, standing behind Power Girl now. PG continues. Zildjian came to Earth because of a flaw in Pike's transformation, to fix the flaw. When he met me and we tangled, because of my misunderstanding.
Go slow, sister. You mean he created Vulcan?
And we see that Vulcan has overheard this. In the background, he again glows bright as he says,
That alien did this to me?
In the horrible first panel of the final page of the story, Vulcan glows brighter and again with his axe gestures towards Zildjian as he continues,
Made me a monster? Burn, you fiend! Burn in hell!
And he blasts the little squat green alien, who just instantly burns up. Power Girl recoils, saying, Oh Lord, Zildjian, he's gone!
He deserved to die for what he did to me. You all deserve to die.
Kid, the flaw Zildjian came to fix. It's sunlight. Vulcan is now super sensitive to sunlight. Star Spangled Kid gets a dramatic close-up as he says,
Yeah, and that's what my cosmic rod feeds on. I've been using it to create weapons, when I should have been using it as a weapon itself.
And with that, Sylvester raises the rod and fires a huge, massive, bright beam of energy at Vulcan as Sylvester yells,
Now! Now! Now!
and a massive burst of energy encapsulates Vulcan, who yells, and then he's gone. All that's left is his burning axe lying on the ground. Hawkman, Power Girl, and Star Spangled Kid looking on. There is a slow dissolve.
Morning.
We're outside a building which is identified by a sign as the City Hospital, and we hear Hawkman saying,
It's ironic. The alien came to help Vulcan, but Vulcan destroyed him. And by destroying the alien, Vulcan also destroyed himself.
Star Spangled Kid picks up with,
Yeah,
but he breaks off because another blonde-haired fellow in a suit has entered the room.
Dr. McNider, how is he?
Green Lantern pipes up with, Will Fate survive? And we get a close-up of a very moody-looking fellow in dark glasses who rounds things out saying, I can't lie, Green Lantern. Dr. Fate is dying. Only a miracle can save him now.
Next issue. The fate of Dr. Fate and the mysterious secret of the man-monster called
Xanadu, do 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 do, Xanadu.
Yes, that'll be the song we play out with this week. Well, I have to say, I enjoyed this story much, much more than the last couple of issues of Freedom Fighters that we did.
That wouldn't be hard. Yeah, that was great fun. Yes, it was also, I think, more entertaining than the Brainwave Perdigaton story as well, overall.
That's interesting. Why do you say that?
The Brainwave part of it was fine, but the Perdigaton stuff made no sense from what we knew of the character from before, and that really bugged the heck out of me.
Sure. Okay.
But this was a lot of fun. I like the idea of this astronaut who goes a bit mad. It was very Quatermass / Ambassadors of Death, Doctor Who story.
Got you.
Kind of idea of, astronaut goes a bit mad, something happens to transform him, and in fact, yeah, do you know what? There's a lot of things that have inspired this story, that now that I've mentioned it, now that I can see. A lot of influences.
We should say quickly, obviously, is Christopher Pike.
Christopher Pike, let's get this out of the way.
The initial pilot episode of Star Trek, which wasn't transmitted, but featured Christopher Pike, Captain of the Enterprise, and then those whole chunks of that story were used in a story called The Menagerie.
Mm-hmm. The only two-parter Star Trek original series episode, yes.
Used the sort of flashback, sort of testimony sort of stuff. And Christopher Pike was played by Jeffrey Hunter.
Mm-hmm. And
he's now played by someone else, I believe, in a programme I've never seen called Star Trek Strange New World.
Yes, Anson Mount, Black Bolt himself, who I think would have made the perfect Reed Richards.
Oh, really? Is it him? Oh, okay, that's cool. Me with my finger on the pulse there, listeners.
So people know him a lot more these days than they did back then. But obviously at this time, Star Trek was majorly in syndication. We're ramping up towards Star Trek the Motion Picture, and of course, which is kind of like fueled as well by the reaction to Star Wars, which was coming out.
Yeah, I mean, and there was the whole attempt at a revived Star Trek TV series.
Yeah, Phase 2.
But this is not a Star Trek podcast. There are probably other Star Trek podcasts that can tell you more about that sort of thing.
But obviously, Jerry's a big fan with this reference. He probably dropped this in thinking this is a niche reference, not knowing that was going to be the main character name of a Star Trek series.
Exactly.
decades later in the next century.
I mean, it's funny. It's like, even if they hadn't made Strange New Worlds, I think you and I are big enough Star Trek fans that we both clocked this immediately and went, "Oh, hang on, right."
And the fact the character's called Vulcan as well.
Yes, yes,
a double whammy. Which brings me on to the next bit. We really have to mention, of course, there is a Charlton character that DC inherited when they bought over the Charlton characters called Son of Vulcan. And I was sorely tempted to do a Son of Vulcan episode. Listeners, let me know if you do want us to do one at some point in the future. Not much has been done with him in DC, although there was a mini-series quite a while ago. I think it was a 6-issue series. I only got it recently. I've not even had a chance to read it yet.
Oh, I didn't even know there was one. My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Vulcan Son of Fire, it sounds like the sort of thing Roy would have pitched in 1980.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't it?
Without a doubt.
Arak, Son of Thunder, should have fought Vulcan, Son of Fire.
They'd call them the three sons or something like that to get someone else in
there.
Oh,
no. No, you're killing me.
The rising suns, they'd be called. The setting suns, that'd be something the suns.
No, don't give Roy ideas in case he's listening.
They would fight the Daughter of Darkness and all this sort of thing, and all that would happen,
Yes.
When we write our DC comic.
Well, no. when you write your DC comic. Anyway.
It'll be grandson of Vulcan for me.
Yes.
That's what I would do. Oh, actually, yes. That is what I'm doing. Okay, cool. That's fine.
Hey, listen, man, you could write a comic called Grandson of Vulcan. No one can stop you. We know enough artist people. Get it done. You haven't done anything for ages. You haven't written since Jarman, so you need to get on with it.
I'm too busy doing this podcast, mate.
I know. I used to be able to read books, listeners.
One day we'll get our lives back. Right.
Yes.
In the meantime, let's talk more about this comic.
Yes.
As you said, the artwork is outstanding. I mean, that's in the first issue when they're doing the race down the corridor. You've got a fantastic T-shaped panel, just so you could fit in the Flash legs, and there's a panel either side of the stem of the T, but just so you could. It just looks great. Keith Giffen's doing a wonderful job in these layouts.
Yeah, they really are. They're stunning. They get better over the next couple of issues still. It really is glorious.
And as you said, the Ank imagery is picked up from the Simonson first issue special. And I think a lot of the layouts as well is kind of like Simonson inspired. You can see similarities between the two of them on these pages, and it's great. It's really good.
I guess that Keith Giffen and Walt Simonson, probably of similar ages, probably had similar influences. And they're both doing something. It's kind of similar to what Walt did in Manhunter as well. They're kind of breaking the mould of traditional layouts. But there are a couple of moments in issue 61, jumping ahead slightly, where Keith sort of anticipates the 9-panel grid from the Legion of Superheroes 5 year later period.
Oh, right, okay.
Which was the sort of the rigid way that story was often told. So it was interesting to see a page of 9-panel grid and go, oh, it's Keith Giffen 9-panel grid there, look. What I liked about this one was it was the first part especially, there wasn't as much room for it in the second issue. It was just the inter-JSA member dynamics. You've got the stuff with slight sparring between Star Spangled Kid and Wildcat and PG. Flash, obviously, it seems they really do seem to be setting the Flash up to kind of maybe stepping away. Again, is this just to allow space for the younger heroes to take centre stage?
Yeah.
We've got stuff with Green Lantern experiencing doubts and uncertainty, which kind of riffs on what happened way back in Green Lantern 61. Characterisation is very much on kind of equal level with the excitement and the fighting. Obviously, huge parts of it we summarise because it's easier just to summarise fighting than summarise character stuff. I was amused at how much fun Sylvester seems to be having with the Cosmic Rod, trying to wrap Vulcan up in a cosmic marshmallow. He just says he's been practising since Starman first loaned him the thing, so it's obviously that he's getting quite a lot out of the Cosmic Rod, but I worry that going forward if the Cosmic Rod is going to become sort of get out of jail free card that can do absolutely anything that the plot requires. Yeah,
I prefer it to be kind of like more of an actual device as opposed to another power ring.
Yes.
Which can create anything, because that's the problem.
That's a good point, yeah.
I like the idea of it being like as clunky and as mechanical as possible with buttons that you press that do different things, as opposed to this device. It seems to be, as you said, it's kind of like the catch-all. And it's like, I think of a cosmic marshmallow and there's a cosmic marshmallow. I think of this chair and I materialise a chair I'm sitting on.
Comparing it to the power rings a really good way of sort of articulating that. That's a really good way of putting it.
Because they've got a power ring.
Exactly.
They've got a power ring, and sometimes it's even on the right hand.
Exactly.
I mean, correct hand, I should say.
Issue 60's got all the setup for really what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right, in sort of the tragedy of Christopher Pike, and it does get, in some ways, it kind of strongly echoes the Quatermass Experiment, but I'm stretching it a bit here, but the fact that he's sort of affected and transformed in a way that there's, I think, slight echoes of Star Trek with that as well.
Oh, yes,
Given, Pike's sort of fate. I believe I saw something on, I think it was on Instagram the other day, actually, at the point of recording. It looks like it was a recent episode of Strange New Worlds that referenced Christopher Pike ending up in that sort of chair with his face sort of deformed and stuff, like he was the menagerie.
I think you're right, but as I say, I've not been watching it either.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of it. I don't know how to watch it, to be honest. If someone wants to send me a DVD box set of all of it, I'd be quite happy.
I don't even know if it came out in DVD. It might just be
exactly. This is the trouble.
Remember, we used to be able to put on the telly. You'd watch something that was on. Remember?
Exactly. That's why I'm so pleased that we're actually able to watch Peacemaker.
Yes, true.
It's basically on what was Sky One, in the way that things used to be.
Yes.
Listeners, at the point of recording, there have been 4 episodes of season 2 of Peacemaker, so there you go. We're down to the wire with this one, actually, because it's out next week as we record.
And Peacemaker might be making an appearance on the podcast at some point in the near future. Stay tuned.
Yes. The Christopher Pike stuff is fascinating, just because as we keep saying, it does echo other forms of media. And I have to say, I found the resolution vaguely familiar as well. It's like, it's not quite Deus Ex Machina, but it's like the alien responsible turning up, and then that feels like it could have been in a modern Doctor Who story as a sort of resolution. It's not quite Broken Spring, but it's sort of, here's the very straightforward explanation for this weird thing that's going on.
Yeah. It's like that story that's been done before about if a human is injured and an alien finds them and tries to repair them, and they're kind of rebuilt differently.
Yeah, exactly.
There was one I read recently and I can't remember what it was, but it was like a cyborg. They kind of rebuilt them as that. I can't remember what that was in, but it wasn't something recently.
Oh yeah, that does ring a bell as well.
Anyway.
Some interesting JSA character stuff, as we say. Hawkman gets a page, obviously setting up what's going to be involved in the next couple of issues, so we'll get to him in a month or two, I imagine. The fate of Dr. Fate is quite interesting.
Yes.
Because this, again, is another member of the team being taken off the table.
Yeah, again, another powerful one, so that you've got the second stringers struggling a bit more. Again, very Marvel angsty.
Yeah.
Very good. And you were going to mention the classic panel.
Yeah, because there's that panel of Dr. Fate being carried by Dr. Midnight with Green Lantern angsting in the background and Wildcat looking quite angsty as well. And it's very reminiscent of that famous image of Cyclops holding Phoenix or Superman holding Supergirl from... Spoilers. It's a shame that panel's not bigger, actually.
Yeah. These days it would be. These days that'd be a full page splash.
Yeah. From what we're saying about enjoying the layouts, this one page does feel a bit cramped. It does pack a lot in. Obviously, and just after that, there's in issue 61, there's the scenes with Power Girl talking to the little alien, and he's, putting the mental images into her head. That is amazing. We'll definitely put some of those panels onto the socials, because obviously for the sake of economy of time, we can summarise quite a lot of it, but it's interesting because while they're fighting, Power Girl is sort of thinking, strange, I've got the oddest sensation, like a feeling of deja vu, as though I've been here before. Whatever the feeling is, it's unimportant. This thing is a menace, and she gradually realises the alien is trying to talk to her, that he's not a threat, and that's, I think, makes it all the more tragic when he gets killed off.
Definitely, yeah.
It would have been interesting to have had a happy ending.
Yes, I mean, bear in mind, this is still one of the earliest Power Girl appearances, and they're developing her character really nicely, I think. I like the fact that for shorthand, to describe her as kind of like the Supergirl of Earth 2 in her relationship to Superman. But also you get panels like the caption that says, if Power Girl were the Supergirl of Earth 1, she'd be fine right now since Supergirl is invulnerable.
Yes.
In that fight scene, but then she's she might be killed by this building falling on her, then she bursts through.
Yeah.
It just shows it's more determination as opposed to powers with her, if you know what I mean. It's more the force of personality, so she has to be tougher.
Yeah.
She has to fight for it in this. It's the 70s, it's feminism, she's fighting the patriarchy.
Yeah.
The way, a 20-something-year-old male writer would write. But still, it's a bit egregious, but it's there.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's a similar sort of thing to what they were trying to do with Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, I can see that.
This sort of thing. It's interesting, Power Girl was going to be an interesting character to sort of monitor. So much has been done with her since. Things got so convoluted with her post-crisis.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting sort of reading the pure, unaltered version of her.
Yeah.
And also, a word I keep using, obviously, interesting. It is interesting to sort of note the various sort of references to Supergirl, almost as if they're taking the audience's existing familiarity with Supergirl as a sort of shorthand to help out the characterisation of Power Girl.
Yeah.
But they are very different. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Superman turns up.
Yes, he's got a lot of answering to do, basically.
Yeah.
As she's been saying, it's like, oh, my cousin hid me for years. It's like, really? Why?
Yeah, she definitely seems to have more of a sort of lingering resentment about that than Supergirl ever did.
Yeah, definitely. Supergirl was like Superman saying, oh, you're my secret weapon. Oh, right, okay, that's fine. I'll just stay over here in this orphanage. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was terrible. But this is, you're right, there is going to be a bit more of an edge to it, perhaps some bitterness, when they do finally have a confrontation. So, yeah.
Because I think Power Girl was definitely a lot older than Supergirl was when she emerged, as it were.
Yeah.
So there's maybe more time for sort of resentment or whatever. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yes.
Good to see Dr. Midnight turning up and getting to be a doctor.
Yes, that's good. And it's weird because obviously Dr. Fate is also a medical doctor.
Yes.
But he can't really diagnose himself when he's unconscious.
Yes.
Gasp.
Can you imagine?
I'm imagining it right now.
What's your thoughts on when I've talked about it earlier, what's your thoughts on the Jay Garrick, Joan Garrick sort of scene?
See, it's interesting because recently in terms of time in the comics as opposed to recording time, because it's quite a while ago, we've had some stories where Jay's kind of like showing that he's slowing down and he is getting older, and he's not quite what he was, and this might be preying in Joan's mind a bit, and thinking, listen, there's a new generation coming up here. Can you maybe take it easy? Can you maybe be more of a mentor? Maybe just, and plus Sunday, we had booked as a Sunday roast. Let's go get out of here.
Yeah. Ian and Babs are coming around for the dinner tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, I think Joan's just genuinely concerned. I think Jay has definitely been slowing down. He's not as fast or as strong or as powerful as he was. He is like us all. We're all getting older.
Absolutely. As I always say, I can't keep throwing myself around. I'm 37.
I'm older than I've ever been, and now I'm even older.
That's Peter dropping hints, listeners, because it's his birthday in a few weeks.
No, it's just me quoting They Might Be Giants, but that's fine. So yeah, it's quite natural. It's quite human. It's relatable. It's very relatable and understandable.
Yeah, and the thing is, Jay's been a perennial, and he's never really kind of gone away. And there were times, in the 90s, a couple of times in the 90s when they tried to kind of retire him. There was the really cack-handed awful bit in 0 Hour where he kind of tears the lightning off his chest and walks off and passes the mantle to Impulse, and you're going, right. And then Mark Waid basically behaved in the Flash like that. It never happened.
Yeah.
He did, no, I'm just using Jay and I'm using Max and I'm using Johnny and Jesse. So I remember it was all right. Jay didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting. What sort of not surprised me, but sort of struck me at this was Jay and Joan and her concern for him, and Jay maybe giving it up. That's something that's never gone away. That's kind of continued. I think in the 90s and 2000s series, Joan seems a bit more okay with it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's, at this point, like, this is 30 years after he's first been active, so realistically he's probably going to be about our age at this point, in his 50s, so it's...
Yeah.
There's a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song called Mary Jane's Last Dance, and that has a line that goes, I don't know, but I've been told if you never slow down, then you never grow old, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. If you start to let yourself think that you're old, you're too old and past it, then, that'll become manifest. And I'm a bit disappointed to see Jay sort of going, yeah, all right, and being meek about it. It's like, come on, you're the Flash. Come on, man. You still got it. So whoever continues to create this series over the next 15 issues or so, it'll be interesting to see how Jay is used and how this develops, if it's continued or if it's forgotten, or we'll have to have a look and see how active he is in the next JLA JSA crossover, for example.
Exactly, yes, which is coming up rapidly.
At the point of recording for that, Kirby has got his lines in as the Flash already, as Barry Flash already, so...
Yes, it's another multicast epic.
We're starting to work on that one.
Slowly but surely. Changing the subject from Jay, a quick look at Alan, I think, and his situation, because it's obviously he's still at Gotham Broadcasting.
Yes.
And it looks like they're in a bit of bother. But one of the things that I loved was him thinking, I wish Doiby was here. And of course, that's a callback, because Doiby's married a space princess and is off living on another planet.
Yeah, we haven't seen Doiby Dickles for a very long time.
But I wish there was a wee caption or editor's note saying, Doiby is do.
Yes.
But unfortunately we didn't get that. But it was nice, Alan reminiscing, saying, the good old days with me and Doiby, we had fun times. That was nice. I like that.
There was quite a few other sort of, I think we might even have missed a couple just because there was so many of them. Tons of little footnotes in Marvel style, as you know, listeners or readers or see issue, blah, blah, blah. I was really struck by the Alan insert, as it were.
Yeah.
It's doing a good job of building up, not their social lives, but their real lives outside. And it's, with a team book, it's difficult to do that. So many characters. So it was good to see that. It'll be interesting to see if there's any more about what's going on with Green Lantern as we go forward. Or indeed, it'll be interesting to see what other sort of dips into superheroes' personal life we get going forward.
Yeah, and of course we've got the subplot that will be picked up next of Hawkman's Lemurian.
Yes. Hawkman's Lemurian, of course, is spotted in Montrose Avenue at Leeds Cockpit in 1998.
Actually, the guy he was talking to was called Clyburn, and that made me think, I wonder if he's supposed to be the Earth 2 version of Jeanette Clyburn, who's the Star Labs scientist.
Interesting.
I think Jerry Conway might have created her as well, so I wonder if it's just a reuse of the name, or...
Interesting.
I could be wrong, someone else might have created her, but it was round about this time she rose to prominence.
Sure.
On the Earth 1 continuity, so Jeanette Clyburn. So, and this guy obviously isn't a scientist, from what we can see, but yeah, just an interesting reuse of the name. I think if Roy Thomas is writing this, he would definitely make that... fact.
Yeah, definitely. We should maybe ask our friends over at the Earth One podcast if they've noticed him yet.
We could do.
Jokes. Right then. We'll now do, I think, the contemporary correspondence. So issue 62 deals with issue 60.
And the first letter says, Dear people, boy, you guys are either very talented or very lucky. But despite all the iffy situations you've thrown into so far in All-Star, it really clicks. Boy, does it click. I see I was right in assuming that Power Girl would be controversial. The most appealing aspect of the Earth 2 Superman's career was that he was the only survivor of Krypton. This is in direct contrast to the Earth 1's version, in which so many survivors of Krypton have shown up that one begins to wonder if Jor-El and Lara were the only people to really die in the explosion. However, Power Girl is so winning a character, so visually stunning, and conceptually compelling that it really is difficult to make any real complaints about her survival. I do wish, however, that you'd clarify some of the finer points of her origin for us. All we know is that she is the Earth 2 Supergirl. Is she Kara Zor-El, or another cousin? How did she survive the blast? Does she have a secret identity? Is she available next Friday night?
That was Peter, that was not the correspondent.
Then, the Star-Spangled Kid. He seems like the perfect foil for Wildcat, and his new contemporary personality also clicks. The original All-American Kid hero getting into something as radical and deep as psychology? Sensational! But don't stop there. Despite weak attempts with other heroes who suddenly awoke to find themselves in another time period, I am thinking particularly of your competitor's hero, also of Star-Spangled Raiment, which I've commented on before, there has never really been a great deal done with adjustment problems. The Kid has great potential in this respect, but what happens when Starman recovers? Must the Kid forfeit the Cosmic Rod? I hope not. Starman once made a miniature Cosmic Rod for Black Canary, which she declined to keep for some reason. Maybe the Kid could get that. And the whole concept of a teenage super squad sharing JSA headquarters is definitely controversial, but I like it.
Why is it controversial?
Dunno.
Is this some new... Was the understanding and use of the word controversial different in America in the mid-70s
Maybe.
to what I would think of it now?
It's a controversial opinion to hold.
That is the most Peter thing ever. Sorry. Right, anyway.
But I like it. Perhaps a super squad could become something of an emergency task force, with recruited GSA members helping out every so often along with regular members of both teams. I'd like to see an occasional GSA member pop up, especially Johnny Thunder and the Atom. Your subplots are also marvellous. Power Girl's battle for acceptance, Wildcat's running battle with everybody in the GSA, and possibly, most exciting of all, Green Lantern's search for the Harlequin. In case that was a feeler to test reader reaction to seeing the Harlequin once more, I definitely think you should go ahead with it. Issue 60's Vulcan Son of Fire flowed so incredibly smoothly, so deftly, that interest just wasn't allowed to drop between panels. And the art was superb. For whatever reason Wally Wood is at DC, I am thankful. His all-star art is the most memorable stuff he's done in years. Since Wood usually overwhelms anybody he inks, I can't really comment on Keith Giffen, except that maybe his panel layouts were better than Rick Estrada's. There are some amazing panels in this issue. I shan't try to point them out because there is almost one on every page. Incredible! As a matter of fact, the only complaint I have about All-Star is the cover logo is too crowded. The Justice Society of America in All-Star Comics with the Super Squad. Not to mention the DC banner. But that is nitpicking, isn't it? After all, the book is certainly good enough to do justice to the logo's garish boasts, and that's something that can't often be said. And that's from old favourite Bob Rohde from Oak Brook, Illinois.
That's an epic epistle there from Bob. Editorial response only says, "We think that this issue is Woody's best yet. We have a feeling even greater heights are coming. More on that next issue." So next letter. "Dear editor, for years I wished for the Justice Society to once again have a magazine of its own. Jerry Conway provided that book and produced an excellent comic. Now I have heard that Jerry is leaving National, and I fear that the JSA and its new super squad will fade into comic oblivion. Please don't let this happen. I suggest that Julie Schwartz take over the editing chores. Who better knows the Justice Society? For writer, I suggest either Denny O'Neil, who did a superb job in the JSA and the Justice League team-ups, or DC's newest wonder, Marty Pasco. Either of these two esteemed gentlemen would provide us readers with the quality and beauty of the JSA. I would hope Wally Wood would not leave this magazine. He's the greatest draftsman I've seen. His inks are just too much for words. By the way, his pencils are good too, hint hint, and Keith Giffen is a good penciler, although Wood overshadows him." I would refute that because Keith's layouts are legendary.
Yeah.
Anyway. "Let me say that Power Girl is the greatest new female character in the DC line. She is dynamic. She is everything that Supergirl could have been. Let's not see her degenerate into another plain superheroine. She belongs right up there with the best. Whatever comes from Jerry's departure, I am sure it's for the best. I hope the decision is to keep this comic alive. Thank you, and good afternoon." And that's from Dominic Bruni. Waukeesa? Sounds like Waukegan, which we heard about or wherever it was a while ago. And that's in Wisconsin. Again, that's a letter that sadly doesn't really say too much about the comic we've just read, but editorial response is...
As of next issue, Joe Orlando, Power Girl's own artistic godfather, is the new All-Star editor. And picking up the scripting chores from Jerry is Paul Levitz, who will handle the whole writing job with the next issue, and was Jerry's choice to dialogue this one. But more than that when we actually get to this issue.
The letters page for issue 63, again, maddeningly, doesn't have any really plot-specific letters for us to talk about, so we're just going to do the second and third letters on this letters page. First one goes like this.
Dear gentlemen, I love this book. Maybe that is an unqualified opening statement, since it is a value judgment and says nothing of specifics. But, to tell the truth, I'm not at all sure of the whys and wherefores. Unless, of course, you believe, as I do, that All-Star Comics is a can't-miss proposition. A beloved format, the JSA, trendy group theme, new innovations, all done up stylishly by Conway, Giffen and Wood. I should criticise? I'm in awe over here. Of course, the JSA's main driving force has always been its characters. Brilliant characters, resilient and well-rounded. Dr. Fate slips into the 70s with a new mysticism and a fantastic rapport with Egyptian mythology. Green Lantern and the Flash, who these days reveal that an aging superhero isn't a useless one. Wildcat, a doer in a society that prefers thinkers. It's very likely that the JSA will be around 100 years hence. It's no far off. Still as contemporary and dynamic as they've ever been. I like your new characters too, especially Power Girl, but please, more about her. You keep telling us Power Girl is not the Earth 1 Supergirl. Why not make that very clear by once and for all telling her origin? Also, she seems to be a little bit more independent of her Superman than her Earth 1 counterpart, and none of us out here is quite sure whether or not Power Girl has a secret identity. And that again is from Bob Rohde from Oak Brook, Illinois.
Excellent. Some very good points there. Editorial response reads, "We are rather fond of Power Girl as well, so you can look for more details in future issues. And if reader reaction supports it, we might even give her a few solo adventures in the back of our companion magazine, Adventure Comics. What about it, fans?" We should pay attention to that. Yes, we shall see what happens with that. We're going to do one final short letter, which reads, "Dear Jerry, I hear that you're leaving DC, and I think you've done a terrific job on All-Star, and hope the book will fall into capable hands. Joe Orlando as editor, neither Paul Levitz or Martin Pasco as writers. Any chance of this?" And that's short and sweet from Philip N. Bottomwick, Woodhaven, New York. Have we heard from him before?
No, does ring a bell.
Editorial response reads,
You're right on target, Philip, as you've no doubt seen by now. But here's an additional piece of news about the capable hands that are working on All-Star Comics, beginning with our very next issue. Wally Wood will no longer be working over Keith Giffen's layouts. He'll be doing the complete art job himself and lending a hand in the plotting of the series. Needless to say, we're very excited about having one of comics' legendary artists illuminating the All-Stars, and we hope you are too. So Wally Wood is co-plotter. fascinating.
Interesting indeed. Yeah, I mean, a little disappointed there that these were just general bits of correspondence rather than actually focusing on the story, but it's clear that people are interested in Power Girl. And they want to see more. So where did Jerry Conway go at this point? Did he go back to Marvel? I'm not sure.
He went back to Marvel for a bit, and that didn't last too long because he was back at DC fairly quickly after that.
Yeah, because didn't he create Firestorm?
Yep.
And Firestorm, we can't be too far away from Firestorm being published for the first time. Anyway, I'm sure there are other podcasts about Firestorm that people could track down. I'm sure.
Oh, yes, there definitely are.
Listeners, that's the first 4 issues of All-Star Comics in the can. We'll get back to the JSA before too long, but starting very soon is the other sort of big third interdimensional ongoing bit of fun series that DC started at this period. Peter and I are about to start our coverage of the Secret Society of Supervillains. And as you can imagine, Peter is not letting us go there straight away. We have a couple of bits of business to deal with. First of all, isn't that right, Peter?
It most certainly is. Strap yourself in, folks, because next week we have our first Road to the Secret Society of Supervillains portmanteau, because we all love a portmanteau.
We do, and we love giving ourselves lots of work.
Yeah.
But stories are a lot of fun, one of which we'll be doing soon that we've actually been not arguing about, but sort of debating the best way to sort of tell it, and we finally sort of got one. So, Peter hinted at something earlier. If you picked it up, there's one very, very interesting surprise coming soon as well before we get started on the Secret Society.
I was surprised when I found it. I went, we have to do this. And
I was very surprised when Peter told me about it. So there we go. David surprised Steele. That's who I was that day.
That's it.
Right, we've rabbited on long enough. What do you normally say at this point of the episode then, Peter?
Usually I say, we've heard what the readers at the time thought. You've heard what we thought, but we want to know what you thought. You can email us at the f2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media because we're putting up lots of lovely bonus material for this. Indeed, every episode. David's got his finger on the pulse.
Yes.
And has got lots of stuff prepped. It's very exciting. On Facebook, Instagram and Blue Sky, we're at the Earth2 Podcast, and on Twitter, because we're still calling it that, it's podcast_Earth2, and it's the number 2 for all of our socials.
It certainly is. If you're feeling generous, you could consider going to wherever it is you receive your podcasts and leaving us a positive review, or consider sharing one of our posts on social media, like some people are very kind to do. Or who was the chap that bought us a coffee via our coffee page?
Alan Palmer.
Alan, thank you. We believe that you've been binging us for the last year and a half and you finally caught up, so thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
And he has threatened to comment on every episode.
That'd be fun.
So look forward to your emails, Alan.
That'd be good. We can do an entire episode where we just read out Alan's emails. That'd be fun. So yeah, thank you, Alan, for listening. Thank you, everyone else, for listening on that bombshell.
I've been Peter.
I've been David. We'll see you soon on
the Earth2 Podcast.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.
This is really daft. I've written here... I've suddenly gone from calling him Vulcan to Nova in my notes for some reason. Right.